The night sky over Earth was never the same again. Billions of people saw it at the same time. Across every city, every country, every home, stars vanished one by one as something darker and larger moved between them. At first, people thought it was a trick of the eye, a strange cloud or maybe some broken satellites. But then the truth came. Shapes too sharp, too perfect, too silent alien ships. Massive like floating continents arrived without warning. They came slowly, as if they had no fear. As if they knew nothing on Earth could fight them. One by one, they covered the skies of the biggest cities. New York, Beijing, London, Mumbai, Cairo, Tokyo. The world fell into silence. People screamed, prayed, or filmed on their phones. Governments sent jets and missiles, but before they could fire, every weapon system simply stopped working. Screens went black, engines died, and soldiers stared in horror. The ships had done nothing, not a single shot. But Earth was already powerless. News stations around the globe broadcast the images. Anchors struggled to stay calm, but their voices shook. The ships had no windows, no lights, only dark silver surfaces that seemed alive. Like metal skin breathing, then, after hours of silence, the world heard a voice. It was not loud, but it entered every device, every speaker, every earphone. It was clear, cold, and female. "We come to rule, not to destroy," the voice said. Humanity froze. It was not a request, not an offer, it was a command. Panic spread across cities. Some people tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. Others gathered in churches, temples, mosques, begging for safety. Children cried as parents tried to hold them close. And high above, the alien ships just hovered. Watching like silent gods, the leaders of Earth met in secret bunkers. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, all powerless now. No missiles, no bombs, no satellites worked. One general whispered, "If they wish to destroy us, they would have already," another replied. "Then why are they here? What do they want?" But no one had an answer. The voice returned, this time showing its source. From the largest ship, a beam of light opened, and a figure stepped forward. A tall woman, not human, yet not monstrous. Her armor shone like silver fire. Her eyes burned like cold suns. She stood with calm authority. "This world will not burn. It will serve," she declared. "We are the female empire. We rule the stars. And now we rule you." The world listened in shock. Some called her a goddess, others called her a demon, but no one could deny the power she carried in her voice. She pointed toward the earth below. "Your cities will remain, your people will live, but you will obey." And then she gave the command that changed everything. "From this day, your capital is chosen and it will be New Rome." No one knew what New Rome meant, but soon they would learn. On the next morning, towers rose from the ground without a single human hand touching them. The ships released small machines, black and sharp, moving like insects in hours. Alien buildings stood taller than the highest human skyscrapers. People filmed in terror, shouting, "They are building a city inside our city." And they were right. The empire had chosen Rome in Italy, and within days, it became the first capital of alien rule on Earth. Around the world, people argued and fought. Some said humanity should resist. Others said resistance was useless. Some fell to their knees and swore loyalty, believing these alien women were saviors sent from the stars. But one truth was clear. Humanity was no longer the master of Earth. The alien female empire had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. The suspense was unbearable. Every street carried fear. Every television carried the same question. Would the empire be kind rulers or cruel masters? Would they bring peace or endless chains? No one knew the answer, but everyone knew one thing. The age of humans ruling alone was over, and as the sun set behind the alien towers that now touched the sky, a whisper passed through the crowd. It was not from the aliens, it was from the people themselves. "If this is only the first night, what will 5 years bring?" The first year after the arrival was the year of silence. Humanity had expected fire, war, and blood. Instead, the alien female empire gave something stranger, something colder. They did not destroy cities. They did not burn armies, they did not crush nations. Instead, they began to change Earth. Slowly but with unbreakable force every morning, people woke to see new alien towers rising. Black metal spires grew in the middle of human cities, taller than anything mankind had ever built. Nobody saw workers, nobody saw machines. The towers grew by themselves, humming with strange energy. Scientists stared, helpless, unable to explain how such structures could appear in hours. The towers glowed at night, casting long shadows over human homes. Children pointed at them and whispered, "The giants are watching us." Alien patrols appeared on the streets. They were tall, armored women with weapons that no human dared to test. Their faces were hidden behind silver masks, their voices mechanical. They never shouted, they never explained. But when they appeared, silence fell. A single gesture from them made crowds scatter. No one ever saw them kill, but everyone feared them. Because those who disobeyed were simply taken, and once taken, they never returned. Government still existed. But their power was thin like paper. Presidents and kings gave speeches promising strength. But the world saw the truth. They were only shadows under alien rule. In many cities, giant screens showed the alien empress speaking. Her voice was always calm, always certain. "Your world is now part of the empire," she said. "You will not suffer if you obey." In schools, the changes began quietly. Children were still taught math and science, but history lessons vanished. Instead, alien teachers arrived, teaching of the female empire's great victories. They told stories of star systems conquered, of enemies crushed, of glory eternal. Some children listened with fear, others with fascination. Parents whispered at night, "They are rewriting our children." But no one could stop it. Those who tried to resist found soldiers at their door, and soon their houses were empty. At night, people gathered secretly to talk. Some argued the aliens were devils, others said they were angels, bringing order to a broken world. Crimes had nearly vanished. Thieves, gangs, and corrupt leaders disappeared. But so did freedom. Every street had watchers, strange floating orbs that glowed with red light. They recorded everything. Whispers spread that even private thoughts were no longer safe. The first year also brought something more mysterious. Every few weeks, groups of humans were chosen. Soldiers, doctors, scientists, farmers, even children. Alien patrols escorted them into the towers. No one ever saw them again. Rumors grew. Were they being turned into slaves or food or something worse? One survivor claimed to have escaped. He said the towers were testing grounds. He spoke of strange trials where humans were measured, questioned, and judged. But before he could speak more, he vanished too. Among the people, fear and admiration mixed. Some humans knelt before the alien women, calling them queens of the stars. Others clenched their fists in rage, swearing revenge. Rebel groups formed in secret, hiding in forests, deserts, and underground tunnels. They planned to fight. Even though they knew human weapons were useless, they dreamed of finding a weakness in the towers. But most of their dreams ended before they began. Alien patrols were always one step ahead. It felt as if the aliens already knew what humans would do before they did it. Still, sparks of resistance survived. Whispers carried names of leaders who refused to bow. A soldier in Europe, a teacher in Africa, a farmer in South America. Ordinary people who would not bend. The empire did not crush them immediately. Instead, it watched, as if waiting, as if testing. Why would conquerors allow resistance to grow? No one knew the answer. The first year ended with a broadcast that shook the world. The alien empress appeared again, her face calm, her voice cold. "This is only the beginning," she said. "In 5 years, your world will be changed forever." The words froze every human heart. Was it a promise of greatness or a warning of doom? That night, in the shadows of the alien towers, the whispers grew louder. Some said the empire wanted Earth as a jewel in their crown. Others said humans were only pawns in a larger war across the stars. But one thing was certain: Earth was no longer free. It was a world held in the palm of an empire, and the hand holding it was too strong to break. The first year was the year humanity realized the truth. They were not facing monsters. They were facing rulers patient and powerful, and patience could be more terrifying than fire. The third year began with fire in the night. For months, humans had whispered about fighting back, small groups of rebels trained in secret, stealing old weapons and hiding in the shadows. They knew human guns were weak against alien armor, but they wanted to prove something. They wanted to show the world that humans would not kneel forever. One cold evening, explosions shook the city of Rome, now called New Rome by the Empire. People rushed to windows and rooftops, staring at smoke rising from an alien tower. The rebels had finally struck. They planted bombs at the base of the Black Spire, hoping to bring it down. For a moment, hope burned in human hearts, but when the smoke cleared, the tower was still standing. Not a single crack appeared on its surface. Instead, the black metal glowed brighter. humming as if the attack had only made it stronger. The rebels who tried to escape were caught in seconds. Alien patrols descended from the sky, silent and precise. Some rebels fought bravely, others ran, but every one of them vanished into the towers, never to be seen again. The message was clear. Resistance was possible, but it was hopeless, and yet, the fire of rebellion did not die. If anything, it spread faster. The failed attack became a story, a legend told in whispers. They dared to fight, people said, and so must we. In deserts, forests, mountains, and hidden tunnels, more groups formed. They gave themselves names like the Shadow Hands, the Last Legion, the Free Sons of Earth. They carried old rifles, knives, and homemade bombs. It was nothing compared to alien technology, but it was hope, and hope was dangerous. The Empire seemed unshaken. Alien commanders even appeared on giant screens, almost amused. One female officer removed her mask for the first time. Her face was sharp, beautiful, and terrifying. "You may fight," she said, her voice echoing across cities. "But you cannot win, and you cannot hide." Her words were calm, but her eyes glowed with cold fire. It was as if she welcomed the rebellion, as if she wanted it. At the same time, something darker began. The Empire started selecting more humans, not just soldiers or leaders. Now they took artists, engineers, athletes. Even ordinary farmers' families watched in horror as loved ones were escorted into the towers. They did not scream, they did not resist, because everyone knew resistance meant vanishing too. But the question grew louder. Why were they taking so many? What purpose did humans serve for the Empire? One young soldier named Daniel watched his sister taken. She was bright, a student of science. The alien said nothing, only gestured, and she followed. Daniel swore that night he would find her, no matter the cost. He joined the rebels, carrying nothing but anger and an old rifle. But his path would soon cross with something stranger than he could imagine. During a raid on an alien supply convoy, Daniel was cornered. An alien commander appeared. Taller than him, armored in silver, her weapon glowed, ready to strike, but she paused, staring at him through her mask. Instead of killing him, she lowered her weapon. "You should not be here," she said, her voice calm but firm. Then, in front of his stunned rebel companions, she let him escape. Why? No one knew, but Daniel never forgot her eyes. They were not the eyes of a mindless conqueror. They were the eyes of someone watching, waiting, testing. Rumors spread of strange mercy acts. Some rebels reported being spared when they should have been killed. Some civilians claimed alien patrols protected them from bandits or criminals. The female empire was cruel but also careful. It crushed rebellion, yet seemed to be shaping it, guiding it, like a hunter training prey for a larger purpose. The tension grew with each passing month. Every rebel attack failed. Every human weapon shattered against alien walls. Yet the rebels refused to stop. They believed if they kept fighting, one day they would find a weakness, one day humanity would rise again. But the aliens never looked worried. If anything, they seemed curious, as if they wanted to see how far humans could go. The third year closed with a chilling event in New Rome. Thousands were forced to watch as rebels were paraded through the streets. Everyone expected executions, but instead, the rebels were taken into a glowing gate inside the tallest tower. The gate closed and they were gone. No one knew if they were dead, enslaved, or something worse. The alien empress spoke again that night. "Your resistance is not a crime," she said. "It is a test, and you are failing." Those words struck deeper than any weapon. What did she mean by test? Why allow humans to fight at all if the Empire could crush them instantly? Was there some hidden purpose behind every act of rebellion? No one had answers, but one truth grew stronger. The Empire was not only conquering Earth, it was studying it, shaping it, preparing it for something greater. And deep in the shadows, Daniel whispered to his companions, "If this is a test, then we must learn how to pass it." The spark of rebellion had not died. It had only begun. The fourth year began with more silence, but also with more fear. The alien female empire had ruled for long enough that people no longer screamed when they saw the towers. They no longer cried when the patrols walked past. Instead, they lowered their eyes and moved quickly. Fear had become normal and silence had become survival. But inside that silence, questions grew like fire. Why were so many humans being taken into the towers? Why were rebels spared sometimes but destroyed other times? What did the aliens truly want? The Empress had promised rule, not destruction. Yet the mystery was worse than any battle. People could fight an enemy, but how could they fight the unknown? Daniel, the young soldier who had once been spared, carried those questions every day. He could not forget the eyes of the alien commander who had let him live. He could not forget the night his sister was taken, and he could not stop thinking that the Empire was hiding something larger than simple conquest. One night, he followed a convoy of alien machines into the forest. The convoy entered a hidden gate near the base of a mountain. Daniel crawled through the shadows, holding his breath. He found himself inside a strange alien facility. The walls were alive with moving light, symbols he could not read, and in the center, humans stood in glass chambers. Men, women, children, all alive but trapped. They were being studied, measured, and tested. Daniel's heart pounded as he pressed against the wall. He watched as alien scientists moved among the humans. They took samples of blood, measured strength, tested minds. But it was not torture, it was something else. The humans were being evaluated. Some were released back to the world, confused and silent. Others were taken deeper into the facility, never seen again. Then Daniel saw something he would never forget. An alien commander stood before a group of human men. One by one, she asked them questions in a language that was half alien. Half translated, she studied their answers, their courage, their loyalty. It looked less like interrogation and more like a choice of partners. Daniel froze, realization striking him. The Empire was not only ruling Earth, it was searching for something inside humanity itself. Not just slaves, not just soldiers, but something far stranger. As Daniel crept closer, he was caught. 2 alien guards dragged him before the commander. Her mask glowed silver, but when she spoke, he recognized her voice. It was the same commander who had spared him months before. "You again," she said. Her tone sharp but not cruel. Daniel expected death. But instead she dismissed the guards. Then she leaned closer, her voice quiet. "You want answers?" she said. "So listen." She told him fragments of the truth. The female empire did not conquer planets only to rule them. They searched for strength, for partners to add to their bloodlines. The empire believed that only by joining with strong species could they survive against greater enemies. "You are not prey," she said. "You are candidates." Daniel trembled, not knowing if it was a gift or a curse. Was humanity being lifted into the stars or chained forever? Before he could ask more, alarms sounded. Other aliens had discovered his presence. The commander pushed him toward a hidden exit. "Go," she ordered, "and tell no one what you saw." Daniel escaped into the night, heart burning with confusion. He wanted to believe she had spared him because of mercy, but deep inside he feared it was part of a larger game. When he returned to the rebels, they demanded answers. He told them about the humans in glass chambers, the tests, the choices. Some rebels shouted in rage, others in disbelief. One whispered, "So they do not only want our world, they want us." But no one could agree what it meant. Was it hope or was it horror? Were humans becoming part of the stars or losing themselves forever? The whispers spread quickly. Across villages, cities, and secret camps, rumors grew. Some said the aliens wanted to marry humans. Others said they wanted to breed an army. And some said it was worse. They wanted to erase humans by mixing them into the empire. The truth was unclear. But the fear was sharp. Daniel could not rest. Each night he dreamed of his sister. Trapped in one of those chambers, was she chosen? Was she alive? Was she gone? The questions tormented him. But more than that, the commander's words haunted him. "You are not prey, you are candidates." What did that mean for the future of Earth? The 4th year ended with another message from the Empress. She stood before the world, her silver crown shining, her voice cold and calm. "In 5 years your fate will be decided," she declared. "Some of you will join us, some of you will vanish, and some of you will rise beyond what you dream." The world shivered. It was not destruction that terrified them now. It was the mystery of what joining truly meant. And in the shadows, Daniel made a vow. He would uncover the full truth, no matter the cost. Because only then could humanity decide its own future. Only then could they know whether to fight or to accept the secrets had been revealed. But the greatest secret still waited. The 5th year began with the loudest silence Earth had ever known. The alien female empire had ruled long enough that people no longer asked if humanity was conquered. Now they asked only what was coming next. The Empress had promised that in 5 years, everything would change. That final year had now arrived, and the world held its breath. Then came the broadcast that shook every home. Every screen on Earth lit up at the same time. The image showed the alien empress standing in her throne of silver fire. But beside her stood someone no one expected. A human. Not just any human, but General Marcus Hale, the most respected military leader of the old world. He had fought in wars, he had commanded armies, and now he stood dressed in alien armor. His hand rested on the arm of the Empress. His eyes cold, his voice calm. "I have chosen," he said, "and I serve the Empire." The world erupted. Some called him a traitor. Others called him a survivor. Some saw betrayal. Others saw hope. If a man like Hale could rise so high in the Empire, maybe humans were not only slaves, but the riots began anyway. Cities burned as angry crowds clashed with alien patrols. The Empire did not slaughter them, but it did not yield either. Patrols pushed back the riots with strange waves of energy, forcing humans to collapse without killing. Still, the message was clear. Humanity was breaking apart. Daniel watched all of this from the shadows. His heart burning, he had once looked up to Hale as a hero. Now he wondered if Hale had been seduced, tricked, or chosen. The commander who had spared Daniel once appeared again. This time she met him in secret. "Far from the towers, you see now," she said. "Your leaders are making their choice." Daniel clenched his fists. "That is not my choice." The commander tilted her head, her silver mask hiding her expression. "Then you must decide what your people truly want, freedom or survival." The rebels grew restless. Some wanted to strike harder, to kill Hale and prove humans would never serve. Others argued it was too late, that they should try to be chosen like him. The camp filled with shouting voices. For the first time, humans were not only fighting the Empire, they were fighting each other. One night, Daniel overheard a secret transmission. The words were brief but clear. The Empire was preparing for war, not with Earth, but with another power. Another alien empire was moving toward the solar system. They were rivals, ancient enemies of the female empire. And Earth was only the battlefield. Daniel's blood ran cold, so this was why the Empire had come. Earth was not the final prize, it was only a fortress in a larger war. He told the rebels, but many refused to believe. Some shouted, "Lies! To break our spirit," others whispered. "If true, then we are nothing but tools." The truth felt heavier than chains. But Daniel knew what he had heard, and deep inside, he feared it was only the beginning. Days later, the sky itself proved him right. From the darkness of space, another fleet appeared, not silver, not smooth, but jagged and black, ships like spears. Burning with red fire, the rival empire had arrived. And they came not to rule, but to destroy. Explosions lit the edge of space as the two alien fleets clashed. Earth watched as its sky became a battlefield of fire. The female empire broadcast a message at once. It was not calm this time, it was urgent. "To survive, humans must fight with us," the Empress declared. "Your strength will decide your future." The words echoed everywhere. The choice was no longer distant, it was here. Fight beside the Empire, or be destroyed with the Earth. Rebels argued through the night. Some said it was madness to join their conquerors. Others said refusing would mean extinction. Daniel stood in the middle, torn between hatred and duty, but his heart was pulled by something deeper. He thought of his sister, taken into the towers. He thought of the commander who had spared him more than once. And he thought of humanity itself if they refused. They would vanish if they joined. They might one day rise, the turning point had come. The world could no longer hide, no longer whisper, it had to choose. And Daniel knew he would be the one to make that choice for the rebels. His voice shook, but his words were clear. "We fight, not for them, not for their empire, but for Earth." The rebels fell silent, some nodded, others looked away in anger. But in their hearts they knew the truth. The only path left was through the fire. The only way to save Earth was to fight beside the very empire that had conquered it. As dawn broke, alien ships descended. Opening their gates, human soldiers, rebels, and ordinary men and women stepped forward. They carried old weapons, weak against the enemy fleet, but their courage burned brighter than steel. The commander looked at Daniel as he entered the alien warship. Her voice was calm, but her eyes held something different this time. "You may yet surprise the stars," she said. And so humanity marched into a war beyond their world. Not as rulers, not as slaves, but as a people standing at the edge of destiny. The turning point had arrived, and the future of Earth would be written in fire and blood. The war for Earth began with fire in the sky. The rival empire's fleet cut through the darkness like blades of red flame. Their ships were jagged, shaped like weapons, dripping with energy that burned space itself. The female empire rose to meet them. Silver towers of light against rivers of black steel. Earth trembled under the clash of powers too great for it to hold. Humans watched in terror as pieces of starships fell from orbit. Some crashed into oceans, raising waves like tsunamis. Others struck deserts and forests, leaving craters that glowed for days. It was no longer a question of who ruled Earth. It was a question of whether Earth could survive at all. Daniel stood inside an alien warship for the first time. The walls pulsed with light. The floor felt alive beneath his boots. Around him, other humans stared with wide eyes, clutching old rifles and blades. Alien commanders walked among them, tall, armored, calm. They did not call the humans slaves, they called them soldiers. Fight, and your species will earn its place, one commander declared. The words struck deep, part threat, part promise. Daniel could not forget the faces of those taken into the towers. He could not forget his sister, he whispered to himself. I will find you. As the warship rose into the stars, the ship joined a formation of silver giants. Together they moved like a wall of fire to meet the Red Fleet. The battle began with silence. Then the silence broke into storms of light. Beams cut through the void, shields shattered. Explosions ripped ships apart. Daniel's hands shook as the alien weapons hummed in front of him. He had never fought in space, he had never even dreamed of it. But now the survival of Earth rested on his courage. The rival empire unleashed horrors. Black drones poured from their ships, sharp like knives, faster than bullets. They cut through anything they touched, tearing through steel. Human pilots screamed as their borrowed ships burned, but the humans did not break. They fought back with everything they had, knives, rifles, even their bare hands when drones breached the halls. Daniel led his group through corridors filled with fire and smoke. Every step felt like his last, but each time he thought he would fall. He remembered his sister. Her face gave him strength. The alien commander who had spared him fought beside him. Her silver mask cracked, showing eyes burning with fury and fire. You fight like one of us, she said between strikes. Daniel shouted back, I fight like a human. Hours passed like years. The battle raged above Earth, neither side giving ground. Humans fought in ways the Empire did not expect. They were reckless, desperate, willing to sacrifice themselves for each other. Where one human fell, another rose to carry the fight. The aliens watched with surprise, then with respect for the first time. The Empire saw that humans were not just candidates. They were warriors, but victory was not certain. The rival empire unleashed its final weapon. A ship larger than a continent, its surface glowing with burning runes. It aimed a beam at Earth itself. If fired, it would burn the planet to ash. The female empire's ships gathered to block it. But even their shields cracked under the pressure. Daniel and his team were sent on a mission few survived. They had to board the enemy ship and destroy its core from inside. Humans and aliens stood side by side as they cut their way in. The halls were filled with shadows, monsters born from the rival empire's dark science. The screams of battle echoed through metal corridors. Daniel fought with blood on his hands. With fire in his lungs, every step was pain. But every step was necessary. At the heart of the ship, they found the core, a burning sphere of red fire, pulsing like a living heart. The alien commander turned to Daniel. This is your test, she said. You can save your world, or you can fail and watch it die. Daniel stared at the fire. Knowing what had to be done, he charged forward, planting the last explosive the humans carried. The monsters closed in, claws reaching for him. But Daniel stood firm, shouting with every breath left in him, for Earth. The explosion tore through the ship. The red fire collapsed into itself, swallowing the monster vessel whole. The rival fleet broke apart, retreating into the darkness of space. Earth was saved, at least for now. Daniel awoke inside a silver warship. His body broken, his hands burned, but he was alive. The alien commander stood over him, her mask gone. Her face was scarred. Her eyes sharp but filled with something new. Respect. You passed, she whispered. Daniel asked, his voice weak. What about my people? She answered. They will decide their own path now. The final test had been given, and humanity had survived it, but survival was not victory. The question remained, what would humanity become now that the stars had seen its fire? The war was over, but Earth was not the same. The rival empire had been defeated. its burning ships scattered into the darkness. But the cost was heavy. Cities lay in ruins from falling debris. Oceans boiled in places where wreckage crashed. Millions were gone, some lost in battle. Others vanished into alien towers. The world stood in silence, wondering if survival was truly victory. The alien female empire no longer spoke with the same cold voice. Their patrols still walked the streets, their towers still touched the sky. But there was a change in their eyes when they looked at humans. They had seen them fight, bleed and die not as prey but as warriors. And warriors were not meant to be slaves. Daniel stood among the survivors in New Rome. His body was scarred, his hands burned, but his spirit was unbroken. The alien commander who had spared him so many times stood at his side. She no longer wore her silver mask. Her face was sharp, strong, scarred by battle. The people whispered when they saw them together. A human soldier beside an alien commander. Enemies once, now standing as allies. The Empress appeared on every screen again. Her crown of silver fire glowed. Her voice calm but different. "You have passed your test," she declared. "You have fought not only for your survival, but for ours as well." She paused, her words heavy as stone. "The question is no longer if you will serve, but if you will stand with us." The world held its breath. For the first time, the Empire was offering choice. Not command, not demand, but choice. It was shocking, impossible, almost unreal. Could humanity truly decide its own path now? In the streets, debates raged louder than any riot. Some shouted that Earth should reject the Empire and rebuild alone. Others argued that survival in the stars was impossible without them. Families split apart, friends turned against each other. Some called for freedom at any cost, others begged for alliance at any price. The future of Earth balanced on a knife edge. Daniel stood before his fellow rebels. Their faces were tired, their eyes haunted by war. He spoke with a voice that shook but did not break. "We fought beside them, and we lived," he said. "If we walk away now, the stars will swallow us alone. But if we join, we must not bow as slaves, we must rise as equals," the rebels murmured, some agreeing, others doubting. But Daniel's words spread like fire from camp to city, from whisper to shout. "Not slaves, not rulers and partners, we, the people," cried. The idea grew stronger than fear. Brighter than chains, the Empress listened, her sharp eyes watching the human voices rise. For the first time, she gave a slow nod. "Then so be it," she said. "The female empire does not break those who prove themselves. It binds them. From this day, Earth will stand not beneath us, but beside us." And so it began. The towers no longer glowed with threat, but with promise. Alien machines shared their secrets, healing the wounded, rebuilding the broken. Humans stepped into starships not as prisoners, but as students. Children studied both human history and alien history. The two worlds began to weave together thread by thread. Daniel searched the towers until he found his sister. She had survived the tests, chosen for something greater. When they embraced, her voice shook. They wanted more than strength. "Daniel," she whispered. "They wanted courage. They wanted heart." And Daniel knew then why humanity had shocked the stars. Not because of their weapons, not because of their numbers, but because of their spirit years later. When the sky was filled with silver and blue ships side by side, people remembered the night of arrival, the fear, the silence, the darkness, and they remembered how that fear had turned into fire, how that fire had turned into survival, and how survival had turned into respect. The story was told across the stars, of a small world at the edge of the galaxy, a world that refused to bow yet chose to rise, a world that shocked even an empire that had ruled for ages. And in that story, one line was always spoken. They came to rule us, but they left respecting us. Daniel stood once more at the edge of the rebuilt city. He looked up at the towers and the ships rising into the heavens. He spoke quietly, words carried on the wind. "Humanity is no longer prey," he said. "Humanity is legend."